For most people who don't live in Europe, this continent is must-see at least once in a lifetime. History, culture, architecture, food, natural scenery, people are just some of the reasons we have in mind when we think about Europe. But for many people, Europe is expensive to visit or to live in. However, it doesn't need to be like that. Countries like Switzerland, Denmark, France or Ireland are expensive, but Europe is much more than those countries. There are about 40 countries in Europe nowadays, and today we are guiding you through the top 10 that are cheap but safe, underrated but beautiful, modern and traditional at the same time, and you might consider some of them as great places either to visit, work from, or even live there. Besides the info like the real expected cost of living per month in Europe, we also have some other useful information, like internet availability and cost, air connections, and nice places to visit in each of these 10 countries. Our list is based on the monthly cost for a single person that includes all necessary monthly costs, like the rent of a one-bedroom apartment, utilities, food, transportation, and basic clothing. The prices are average, calculating all cities in a country, but the rent is for a capital city, so if you decide to rent in another city, your rent will be most likely lower. And one more thing. Countries like Ukraine, Belarus, and Russia were not considered for this list because of the safety issues that came as a result of the latest tensions between Russia and Ukraine. Number 10. Poland. Poland is by the cost of living a little bit higher than the rest of the countries on this list. However, this European Union country still offers an affordable life if you decide to live, work from there, or just visit. The monthly cost of living in Poland is about $570. The rent of a one-bedroom apartment in the capital of Warsaw is between $560 and $630, which makes the total monthly cost of living for a single person in this country between $1,130 and $1,200. Poland has many beautiful cities, and each of them has a rich history, unique architecture, and pretty squares. Cities like Warsaw, Krakow, Wrocław, Gdansk, Poznan, Lodz, and Katowice are usually the first choice of digital nomads. Poland is the place where is the largest castle in the world located, Malbork Castle. Founded in the 13th century by the Crusaders, it became one of the most visited places in the whole country. Poland has beautiful nature, especially mountains and forests, and there is a number of national parks across the country. The country is very well connected with the rest of the world, with 2 airports in its capital Warsaw, with not only direct flights to most of Europe, but also to Canada and the US in North America, as well as the Middle East, Asia, and Africa. There is one thing about Poland that will make your life there much easier, and it's the fact that a very high percentage of people in this country speaks English. Number 9. Hungary. Located in the heart of Europe, this landlocked country is one of the oldest countries on the continent with a long and rich history. Besides its beautiful capital of Budapest, which is considered one of the most beautiful European cities, Hungary is famous for its hot springs and thermal spas. There are more than 1,000 hot springs in Hungary, and more than 120 are in Budapest. Hungary is a landlocked country, but Hungarians have their own freshwater small sea, the Lake Balaton. Lake Balaton is the largest lake in Central Europe and a favorite beach destination in Hungary. In case you decide to live or spend some time in Budapest, you will probably find a lot of people speak English, but English is not widely spoken out of the country's capital. The reason for it is that Hungarian is the native language for most Hungarian people, and the language is very different from the majority of the other European languages, so English is very difficult to learn for them. A single person who decides to live in Hungary should expect a monthly cost of about $535, and with a rent of a one-bedroom apartment in Budapest, the total cost should be between $895 and $1,005. The Budapest airport is very well connected with the rest of the world, and it is one of 3 airports in Hungary. Number 8. Bulgaria. Located in Eastern Balkans, between Greece, Turkey, North Macedonia, Serbia and Romania, Bulgaria is home to a beautiful Black Sea coastline with amazing beaches, beautiful mountains, waterfalls and scenic views. Bulgaria is also a country with many famous landmarks and UNESCO sites like the old city of Plovdiv, the ancient city of Nesebar, Rila Monastery, Thracian tomb of Kazanlak and many others. So if you decide to spend some time in this country, you would most likely never be bored. Life in Bulgaria is affordable, especially if you're coming from a developed country like the US, Canada, Australia or similar. Very similar to Hungary, the expected monthly cost of living in Bulgaria is $535. The rent of one-bedroom apartment in the capital of Sofia is between $350 and $470, and it makes a total monthly cost for a single person between $885 and $1,005. Unfortunately, there are no direct flights from Bulgaria to the US, Canada, Australia or Asia and Africa. But it is well connected with major European airports, so you can travel with a one-stop to the most of the countries in the world. Number 7. Romania. Transylvania is for many people, especially those from North America, the most famous region in Romania, mostly because of the stories linking it to the famous legend of Count Dracula. But Romania is much, much more. This country, with over 19 million people, is a place with a beautiful nature, especially the Carpathian Mountains, the Danube Delta and the Black Sea coastline. Many famous people were born there. Constantin Brancusi, one of the most influential sculptors of the 20th century and a pioneer of modernism, was probably the most famous among them. Most well-known cities besides the capital Bucharest and the most popular cities for foreign people are Cluj-Napoca, Sibiu and Oradea, all of them well connected with good infrastructure. If you decide to live in any of these cities, your monthly rent of a one-bedroom apartment will be somewhere between $330 and $480. If you add the monthly cost of living in Romania of $515, you can expect a total monthly cost of living, including rent, utilities, food, transportation, and basic clothing, to be less than $1,000, or more precisely $845 to $995. Internet access in Romania is the cheapest among all countries on this list. For just $8.42, you will be able to use unlimited internet access, cable or ADSL with minimum 60 megabits per second. The best connected airport in Romania, of 13 in the whole country, is the one in Bucharest, and similar to Bulgaria, it has direct flights only to European and the Middle Eastern countries. Number 6. Serbia. Serbia is probably one of the most underrated countries to visit or live in the whole of Europe. Many digital nomads who live in the capital Belgrade said that they found their new home in this beautiful, rich in history and culture country with extremely friendly people and delicious food. Some of the best reasons to move to this country are very affordable cost of living, cheap but delicious food, people widely speak English, especially in the cities like Belgrade and Novi Sad. It is a country with beautiful nature, a lot of historical sites and national parks. Just a few places you must see. City of Belgrade, Danube River, medieval monasteries like Žiča and Studenica, palaces and fortresses, Zlatibor Mountain, and many others. The capital of Serbia, Belgrade, is a well-known destination for entertainment, especially for its vibrant nightlife, which is a #1 reason for young Europeans to visit the capital of Serbia at least once a year. Did you know that Nikola Tesla, probably the most famous scientist in history, was Serbian? The Museum of Nikola Tesla, located in Belgrade, is the place where his complete legacy was moved from the United States after his death in 1943. In the past few decades, the Serbian government invested a lot in infrastructure projects, especially highways, railways, and airports. Belgrade Airport is well connected with almost all European countries, but also with the Middle East, Africa, and North America with a direct flight to New York City. Besides the two main airports in Belgrade and Nice, the newly opened airport in the city of Kraljevo will connect the central part of the country better regionally and with the other European destinations. The average monthly cost of living for a single person in Serbia is $490, and with the rent of a one-bedroom apartment in Belgrade, your total monthly cost will be somewhere between $810 and $990 US. Number 5. Montenegro. Located in the West Balkans, this small country with only 628,000 people is bounded by the beautiful Adriatic Sea on the west, Croatia and Bosnia Herzegovina on the north, Serbia on northeast, and Albania on the southeast. The average monthly cost of living in this small country is about $500, and with the rent of one-bedroom apartment in the capital of Podgorica, your monthly cost will be between $760 and $870 for a single person. So if your vision of living in Europe is cheap place located in the seaside, surrounded by beautiful nature, you should consider moving to this country. Literally translated, Montenegro, or Crna Gora, means the Black Mountain, and that name came from the fact that the whole country is covered with high mountains, but with a beautiful coastline above them. Montenegro has 117 beaches. Its 293-kilometer-long coastline is where the most beautiful places are located. The old cities like Herceg Novi, Kotor, and Perast, a medieval old city resort Sveti Stefan, Budva, the main touristic center with vibrant nightlife, and the city of Bar, where the oldest olive tree in the world is located. But some places that are not located on Montenegro's coastline, like Skadar Lake, Njegoš Mausoleum, and Ostrog Monastery, are also must-to-see. There are only 2 airports in Montenegro, with direct flights to selected European countries and a few more in the Middle East. Number 4. Albania. Albania was a closed country for most of the 20th century, thanks to its famous communist dictator Enver Hoxha. Just in the last 20 years, Albania has begun opening slowly for international visitors, still mostly tourists, but you can also see digital nomads, especially in the capital of Tirana and some coastal cities. Albanian government invested a lot in infrastructure and city development, with a focus on its capital Tirana and a few coastal cities. The rest of the country is still not well connected, and also very conservative with questionable safety. So if you decide to go to visit, work from, or live in Albania, it's probably a good idea to stay either in Tirana or in one of the beautiful and developed cities on the Albanian coast. Albania has 2 UNESCO World Heritage Towns. Berat City, a beautiful historical town with traditional white houses located in the center of Albania, and Gjirokastër City, with a massive Gjirokastër castle located on the top of the hill overlooking the entire city. But the best about living in Albania is the cost of living. The average monthly cost for a single person who decided to live there will be about $450, and with the rent of a one-bedroom apartment in Tirana, the total monthly cost should be between $700 and $800 only. Besides the airport in Tirana, which has direct flights to just the selected European and Middle Eastern cities, there is only one more airport, but with just a few direct flights. Number 3. Moldova. Located between Romania and Ukraine, Moldova is a former Soviet republic and Europe's least visited country. Not a lot of foreign people decide to live there, but those who did can enjoy its exceptional wine or a world-class cognac, the Quaff. The biggest reason for this country to find its place on this list is the cost of living. The expected cost of living is $440. The rent of a one-bedroom apartment in Chisinau is $245 to $330, making the total monthly cost of living for a single person in Moldova between $685 and $770. There is only one airport in this country, in its capital of Chisinau, and it is connected mostly with European countries. Number 2. Bosnia and Herzegovina. Bosnia and Herzegovina, or shortly Bosnia, is a country of incredible nature, located in the West Balkans with very warm and hospitable people. The country's capital, Sarajevo, is the main center, and the most of digital nomads decide to live there. Sarajevo is the city where you can experience the Orient in its old quarter of Bas Čaršija, but you can also feel the spirit of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, especially if you walk the streets around Fehadia. Besides the capital city and the beautiful nature, historic towns like Mostar, Počitelj, and Jajce are very popular destinations to see. Mostar is probably the country's most unique city, with Ottoman architecture and its famous 24 meters high The Old Bridge, or Stari Most, over the river of Neretva. If you decide to work from Bosnia and Herzegovina or live there at least for a month, you should spend not more than $480 for basic needs, and with a rent of a one-bedroom apartment in Sarajevo of $195 to $290, your total monthly cost should be somewhere between $675 and $770 US. This country has 4 airports, but neither of them has many direct flights, just with a few European and Middle Eastern countries. And number 1, North Macedonia. North Macedonia is a landlocked country with 2 million people that lies in one of the oldest inhabited regions in Europe. This small country was a part of Alexander the Great's empire, the Roman Empire, the Byzantine Empire, the Ottoman Empire, and Yugoslavia, and it finally gained its independence in 1991. The major cities are the capital of Skopje and Ohrid. Skopje is the biggest city where 1/4 of the whole country's population lives, with a long history and an unusual collection of monuments and memorials. The airport in Skopje has direct flights to selected European countries, as well as a few in the Middle East. Ohrid is an old city and the only UNESCO World Heritage Site in North Macedonia, located on Ohrid Lake, one of the oldest lakes in the world. This small town, with just over 42,000 people, is the home for 365 churches, one for every day of the year, which makes Ohrid probably the city with the most churches per square mile globally. The monthly cost of living in this beautiful country is the lowest in the whole of Europe, only $440 US for the whole month. The rent of a one-bedroom apartment in one of the most popular cities, the capital Skopje, or a beautiful Ohrid, is just between $135 and $195 for the whole month. This makes the total cost of living in North Macedonia for a single person just between $620 and $720 a month. If you want to live cheaper than this, you can either live in a small town or try another continent, because you could hardly find anything cheaper than this in Europe. And that was all for today. You can subscribe to our channel, but only if you like what we do. In case you'd like to watch a video about a certain topic of your interest, please write it in the comments. Thank you, and see you soon with a new video on DanCity channel.